Welcome back, Baddies, to 2024. Welcome to Baddies Mean Business. This is Riley Jennings, your host. This is the very first episode of the year, and I'm so excited to share everything that's been going on. It's been over 2 months since I posted. I know. You can roast me in the comments. That's perfectly fine. But there's so many updates I want to share. There's a rebrand for those who have checked out the cover. The cover photo, there's change of colors, and I'm going for industrial, like girly, feminine, worldly, but please give your feedback on the rebrand. I'm in love with it. We've been working on it for the last few months, and I think it's a perfect summary or like a metaphor for just what is happening in this year. Because 2023, I mean, let's be for real, it was just like a shit show. I think for everybody I talked to in reflecting on everything, 2023 was a year of discovery, a year of growth and learning, trials, tribulations, and man, I can tell you right now, I sure learned a lot. And so I'm going to share everything about it in this podcast. If you're new here, welcome back. This is Baddies Mean Business. We're going to be sharing a waterfall of wisdom coming from women across different industries, sharing their advice on life, career, just everything that makes us whole. Because for me, I do find work and personal, they're very heavily tied. I know that in the 20 years ago, 30 years ago, work and personal life was extremely separated. And I feel like now the world we live in is very connected. And the way that we think about things when it comes to our career and our work, we really want to feel fulfilled in our work. We want to love our jobs. And in order to do that, you really do have to focus on the whole person. And that's really what I'm trying to focus on here. For me, my name is Riley. I know a lot of you know me, but I've met so many new people in these last few months. There's so many new people in my life. Minor update, I started a new job. I am now the newest events director for the Stella Foundation, which is a local nonprofit. It was originally founded in San Diego, but now it's across the nation. So we serve female founders, helping them raise capital, period. Let's increase those numbers, ladies. Let's increase those numbers, men. Let's get in there. We're on a mission. And so now I'm going to go ahead and share. This episode is entirely about my ins and my outs of 2023 alongside my updates. For those who do not know what ins and outs are, just go ahead and go to TikTok. Just go ahead and do a little scroll, click a hashtag, and you'll learn that ins and outs list is it's kind of like the modern equivalent of the vision board, of the self-analysis. Ins being, what are we focusing on? What is in? What are we doing in 2024 that is different from before? Outs being, we're no longer doing it. X, default, delete button. We're not doing it anymore. It doesn't serve us. It's off the list. And so I'm going to go ahead and get into that. But before I do so, I'm going to go ahead and just share my updates. Okay, everybody. I've been really looking forward to this because there's just so much going on. For the little things, the things I'm eating right now, I've been really getting into feta eggs. This is kind of like my quick Baddie Briefing. Baddie Briefing being sharing my favorites of the week. I have a ton of new favorites. It's been 2 months. So I'm going to go ahead and give you some of my latest favorites to kind of just kick off this little quick Baddie Briefing. The first one of the very year. So what am I eating? I've been loving feta eggs, trying it recently. I'm a big fan of just like mixing foods. Also a big fan of feta in general. I go to Kava probably at least once every 2 weeks. I go pretty frequently. The line is always long, so I don't always go, but I've been trying that out. I've been trying to eat at home more, less eating out. So I just go in big Costco hauls and I just cook every day. I've been meal prepping a little bit more. As to what I'm listening to, I love right now Ribs by Lorde. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Lorde, yes. It's just a good feel-good song. So I'm going to be playing it in the mornings. I wake up. I'm like, okay, I just need something to wake me up. I'm going to put on Ribs by Lorde. Thank you to my Amazon Alexa for just like popping it on, making it easy to play in the morning when I'm cooking my feta eggs. As for what am I using right now? I've been using this brand lately called Cause RX. It's very new. I'm very new to it. It definitely was kind of like an online buy. I saw it online because it utilizes snail mucin in its products, which it basically is what it sounds like. And I think it's really kind of been helping me a little bit with my skin, but I'll let you be the judge because you can see me. For those who are watching on YouTube. Um, trying that out. Can't give a recommendation quite yet. Give me some more time, but that's what I've been using lately because we are all about full transparency. And then as for what I'm watching lately, I've been watching The Bear. I started The Bear. And it is amazing. I've been starting actually The Bear also with Shameless, and I never really got into Shameless when I was when it first came out. I thought it was a very like, in your face. Like, I just wasn't in that period of my life where I can take a show like that. It was just so much. It took like I had to be in the mood for Shameless. But I've been watching those two lately, and I don't know, it's just become kind of my comfort shows that I'll just put on when I'm cooking or when I'm cleaning. As for anything else, let me think. Oh, okay, this is definitely one I wanted to talk about. So, what am I reading? I finished Colleen Hoover's book, Verity, 2 days ago. I killed probably half the book in like one day. I took it with me when I left the house, and when I was sitting in the car, I would read a couple pages. I was hooked. And the ending, for those who have watched it, psychotic. I couldn't even believe that that's the way it ended. My personal opinion, I honestly felt like, okay, I'm not going to try to give too many spoilers, but I think I am team, for those who know, there's team letter, team manuscript. I think I'm team manuscript. That's the truth I choose to believe right now. I went on Reddit for probably 2 hours after I finished the book to just kind of see what other people were thinking about the book, whether they're team letter or team manuscript. And I can tell you there was just so many, it was just so many really really solid arguments that were swaying me back and forth. I part of me wants to say, like, I still don't know exactly, but I'm gonna choose team manuscript. And if you think otherwise, please let me know. Please put your arguments in the comments on Instagram, on LinkedIn. I need to know what you're thinking because this has been bothering me all week. It's really been bothering me all week. I just need somebody to talk to about this book and to know what they think because I feel lost. And yes, I did read the extra chapters I didn't, sorry, let me back up. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I didn't read the extra chapters. I was given a summary of the extra chapters. I saw some people say that you don't necessarily need to read them. They didn't give much more context. These are all just opinions. If you want to read them, please read them. So I'm not going to really give too much on the extra chapters because I don't know. I didn't read them. But my Delulu self really does want to just like be team manuscript. Period. Okay. Sorry for those who never read the book, who had no idea what I was talking about there for a second. But okay. Let's go ahead and get into my ins and outs. So you can go ahead and go to Instagram. I have them listed on Instagram by now, by the time that this is published. But I'm going to kind of just walk through some of my ins and outs. There's so many. I have tons of like personal ins and outs. But I'm going to really try to focus on like that little mix of like when you're in the workplace and also my life ins and outs. Because this is Baddies Mean Business. So we kind of just talk about those two little things. Okay. So first things first. To kind of go over, oh, hold on. I'm like jumping way ahead of myself. I haven't even given you my updates. I was just so excited to go into my ins and outs, and sorry, y'all, I'm a little rusty. I haven't recorded in so long. But updates, that's so important. Okay, so now I'm recording this, and I started my new job. I'm back working with another foundation, a nonprofit based I keep saying based in San Diego, but the reason for that is because I went to school at San Diego State University. And when I was doing so, there was this conference that was hosted in San Diego every single year. It's called the Women's Venture Summit. It is for female investors and founders who want to come together and just make connections and hopefully build opportunities on it. There's the pitch. But it's an incredible conference. I have to say it's one of the best. I've been to quite a few conferences. I know a lot of people who listen to this have also been to quite a few conferences across the nation. I just gotta say, like, this has to be one of my favorite conferences, not to be biased, because this was my favorite conference before I started working for this foundation. Because the connections I made when I was talking to women, I just love women. Like, it's, if I had to really summarize what this conference felt like, that for those who know, that feeling you get when you're in the a bar bathroom and there's a bunch of girls in there, like girls are doing their hair, girls are waiting in line, like we're making new friends. You just kind of bump into a girl and then you suddenly have a new friend and you're like best friends for the rest of the night. And everybody's like, oh, here's my lip gloss. Oh, here, have this, let me help you. Just be a better you tonight. That's how I describe this conference, is that everybody was just there to support each other regardless of what it could be. We may have not been in similar spaces, or I may not be deploying capital, or we could be in a different phase. But like everybody was trying to find a way to be helpful in some way, and whether in giving an introduction to someone else. And so that's just what I loved about this conference. And this is actually where my whole job scenario kind of began. It was by accident. So for the last few months, I've been freelancing. I've been just doing my own thing. I've been working with small businesses, medium-sized businesses, just building their social media presence across all industries. And I've been like applying to jobs here and there. Just trying to find that place that I just felt like home, and it felt right, and felt like the place that I wanted to grow at, I could grow at. I feel like I've learned a lot about my working style this last year, just like the type of people I work well with, the way I work, my flaws in the way I work. Sometimes I just get like so sporadic, like I get I'm writing an email and all of a sudden I get a Slack message and I jump onto that, or I get a text message and I jump onto that, like just trying to find these little things about myself that I can like monitor and see how I can get better at. But so when I went to this conference, I was recommended to volunteer by a friend of mine, Julius Alejandro, the founder of Village Up. We've done a couple live podcasts alongside them, and so you may have heard their name for those who've been listening a little bit. Highly recommend, by the way, going back and watching the Startup San Diego episode that we did. It was a live podcast that we did in San Diego, interviewing founders. Amazing stories, just amazing people. But he had recommended that I volunteer because he was leading one of the panels at this conference. And the conference was like, I think a week or two later. And so he sent me the CEO's number or email. I forgot which one it was. Excuse me. Ooh. Excuse me. Okay. Anyways, sent me the CEO's email, contact information. So I messaged her and I was like, hey, like I would love to be a volunteer. Like, and she's like, oh, we just so happen to be having a volunteer meeting in like 20 minutes. And so she sent me the invite to join this volunteer meeting. I joined it. Everything goes well. I show up, I volunteer, I do my thing. I happen to know a lot of women there who are attending just because just a similar space. My last role was also working for a venture capital fund based here in San Diego. So I knew a lot of people from my past role who were coming to this conference. Like this was my town, like this was my home, like San Diego. Like it was just my jam. It was my jam. And so I was volunteering, And it eventually led to conversations of working with the foundation more closely. And so it was an incredible opportunity. It was just an incredible accident or coincidence or however you want to name it, of how something that I went to just kind of just to do, just like felt right, just to like meet new people. And it turned into my job now, which is just incredible to me. And what's even better about it is that as I got to know the CEO, I've known the founder for a couple of years. We didn't like work alongside each other very closely, but we've always been familiar because Sylvia is amazing and she is just like, she will contribute in any way possible to help people. And so I've seen her in different community groups in that way. But this team that I've discovered and my now coworkers are just like, just beautiful soul. Like, though I feel like the first word that comes to mind are just like beautiful souls, incredibly talented, willing to support. It's just like exactly what I felt like a team should look like. And when I saw that like this was an opportunity to work with a team like that, I was just like, this is the biggest blessing ever. I want to jump in. I want to do it. Started contracting for a bit, then signed on to join in 2024 officially. So that's kind of it. Hopefully you're still here listening. That was a new job. I am really excited about it. I think even just in the last month of working, I've already hosted like an event with them, hosting another one at the end of the month. Things are running, things are moving quickly, and I am just like, I'm incredibly excited. I'm also very grateful to be working in a role that I think this is so important for just anybody too. Like working in a role where you do feel you can see a level of impact that you're having. I know that's like a really difficult situation to have. And I had this conversation with a friend of mine who works for a Fortune 500 company. Like it can be kind of difficult to see the impact that is that you're creating unless you are literally like it's a hard scenario to see. Like it's just there's departments like you're at a level and sometimes you don't see where the river runs later on. And so I know for a fact for me, I love working in a place where I can see it. Where I can see it, or I can envision it, or, it gets back to me in some capacity. Like, and in this role, it's very direct. Like I'm working directly in front of women and female founders and in front of investors, like very face to face. And that's just my jam. Like I love being in person. I love talking to people. Obviously, look at us. And so for that, I'm just grateful. And I really feel like it's such an important thing for people to think of when they're thinking about their big long-term careers. Like, will I be satisfied in this if I were to be here a year from now, 2 years from now, or could it get me to a place where I know I'll be satisfied then? Because, it's not always instantaneous. It sometimes takes work to get there. So, it's just like these conscious things I'm learning as I'm developing my career and my life choices and getting to know myself as a person and what I love to do and enjoy and where I see myself in 10 years. Because who knows, honestly, like, I mean, I feel like you just never know, but like, as long as you kind of like have that in mind, I feel like it really does help you in the end, when making those choices in your life, because you spend the majority of your life at work. Let's be honest here. So that is a big update for me. Other than that, family is amazing. New family members coming into the family. A majority of my family does live in Washington. And so last year I probably went once a month to go visit family. And that is a huge deal to me, is always being able to have flexibility to go visit family. And because I have a big family, I got like, I don't even know, 27 cousins and then a million like nieces and nephews. And so it's just how that cookie crumbled. And I'm really grateful for that. One big thing I do want to talk about, though, that I haven't had the chance to talk about yet, was my trip to Samoa. If for those who haven't been watching my personal Instagram reels or checked out my personal YouTube, me, my mom, my grandma, my aunt, and my cousin Morgan, who also I live with, We went to Samoa, which is where our family is from. My grandma and my grandpa lived in Masausi, which is in American Samoa. When they had my mom and all her siblings, there's 7 of them, and they just came to a realization. There was just like they at that point, all the kids when they were school age, they had a really long walk. Like it was an incredibly long walk because I got to see it, and I remember hearing stories about like, oh, like grandma and grandpa moved because like the schools were too far away from their home. And I think in American standards you have your expectation of what far is for school. Like this was probably like 6 miles they had to walk every single day, something crazy like that every day. And it was down and up a hill because the village is actually located toward in the back of the mountain area. And so you kind of have to weave through these mountain like roads to get to our town or our village that my family is originally from. And so that's a little background on like how my family moved here to the United States. Was because my grandparents wanted the schools to be closer, and so they moved to Hawaii to make sure that was possible. So I remember just growing up hearing all these stories of Samoa and just like how life was over there, and the way that my grandma described it. Like my grandpa was a farmer, and they would sell produce at a market, and she would always brag about how their food was always like the best. Like they didn't even rent a table from the market because the people would be waiting for them to grab food from them. And so I just remember these stories, and it was an amazing experience to go there and actually experience it. I wish I could explain it, but the only way you can truly see how it felt was to go watch those videos on my personal YouTube, Riley Jennings. But it was just like I really just truly understood like how privileged and grateful we are for the life we have, because over there it is things are harder. Like it's an island, like the opportunities aren't as clear, like it's isolated in the middle of the ocean. Like you don't always have access to the things we can have over here. But that's like not something I don't think it hits home for you until you kind of see the places that your family grew up and what their lives could have been if one decision wasn't made, you know? And that's kind of incredible to me to think about. It's just like that one decision changed the complete trajectory of hundreds of our family members, literally hundreds. And that's just because we have a big family. But every single one of us just would not have had the life that we live. Like I wouldn't be able to the list goes on there, and I won't ramble on that exactly. But we went to this village, we went to Masausi itself, and we looked around and we saw my grandparents, like my grandma's mom's old house, and we met some distant cousins. We saw what their houses were like. It was incredibly hot. The standards for when women and men, they get married, start having families is pretty young. What I thought was incredible is when I would meet our distant cousins, and we would talk to them, and they were just so mature. Like they just like had such a maturity and wisdom and like seasoning, like seasoned chicken to them. Like I've been saying that saying way too much. Seasoned chicken. It's just, anyways, let's not make that a thing. But and I would talk to them, and I'm like, oh my god, wait, you're 19 years old. It's just it's just different over there. Like life, people grew up much younger, and then I would say like we were forced to grow up here. Not everybody over here, but like from like personal experience, and the vast majority of people who went to college kind of had that delay in a way sometimes. But that's where I just kind of came to this. I had this deep introspection looking into my own life and how it compared to what my life could have been. Well, not how my mom's life could have been, more so because I wouldn't have existed because my dad grew up in Washington. But that's kind of like my overarching. I wish I could probably do a whole episode about that trip, but for the sake of time and the sake of your attention, I'll move from that. But overall, those are the big ones. And so now, let's bring it to now. 2024, I'm a big vision board girly. If you're watching YouTube, I'm pointing over here to the vision board I made last year what I found interesting is that my goals and everything changed incredibly. Like everything is very different now. My goals are different now. I'm different now. And that's why I really do like having the vision board, is because you can really see like that change and how much can change in a year. And so if you don't believe in the vision board, no worries, like no biggie, like, but just leave us vision board girlies alone. Like we just like, it's nice to see it. It's a fun project. And it's also something I literally look at every single day on my Zooms because I hang it on my wall. So let's go ahead and get into it. I'll talk about more of the overall arching vision, but I'm going to get into the fun part, which is the ins and out list. Okay. Thank you guys for hanging in here. All right. Let's get this going. I'm pulling up my list right now. Okay. First things first, I'm going to start with the outs. So the outs, what are we leaving in 2023? What are we leaving there? It doesn't serve us. It's just not going to work. Okay. My first thing first on my outs list is social media anxiety, which is really ironic because I do work with people on their social media, just as a manager, but I did start to grow this sense of like social media anxiety when I was, I just like, I don't know, maybe like mid-year, because I think it was like almost attached to my sense of just like feeling, I just kind of trying to find direction, you know? The path isn't always so clear. It's just not clear. And at that point in life, it wasn't clear to me. And so for me, I felt like I just really wanted to become like this recluse where I didn't want to post online. I just didn't want to bring any attention to myself necessarily. It became a really big struggle in that way. And so I know for other people too, other people have a really hard time also like posting on LinkedIn, like posting an update, just a casual update. It can be really difficult to put yourself out there and be vulnerable online, and you see other people do it, and you see other people be extremely authentic, who post every single day, and you kind of like create this anxiety in yourself. I'm like, well, why can't I be like that? Like they really got their shit together, and you know, and I understand that feeling. And I know I always tell other people too, it's just like, you really can't like be worried about that. Social media is supposed to, I would love to promote a social media that's very like open to new ideas, and like as long as you're respectful and healthy, like you should be able to share your thoughts and feelings on just about as most anything, as long as you can, you know? I think you really can communicate anything as long as you put it in the right way. But it's really like building the confidence, and I think that's what it was all about, is building confidence to just like be okay. However something is received online, it's going to be okay. Because if you felt really satisfied in being able to write something down and be able to share it and like share it with people, even if it's like one person online, you know, it's a really satisfying feeling. And so that's where social media anxiety booted, gone. We're not dealing with her anymore. It's a no. Okay, next one. Door dashing past 9 p.m. I need to delete that app, okay? That app eats my money. Like, I crave butter chicken around 9:01 p.m., you know, from the local Indian spots here. It's so good. It's so good. And I am a sucker for that because I can't make butter chicken. I probably can, but not like they do. And so I'm like, I crave it, and I'm a big foodie. I want it. But it's gone. We just can't do it. It's going to eat our money. We need to save that money for something else. Who knows? Next one. All right, we're going to move past. I'm going to make that one quick because you know how I feel about it. Okay. Next one, a little more serious, but getting paid less than you're worth. I suck at asking for money. Like I suck at asking for money, and I don't want that to be an excuse. Like I don't want to be like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, the conversation makes me uncomfortable. Like that's just not going to fly forever, you know? And so that's like not what I want. Like that's no longer with that excuse. It's just like, if you feel you're worth something, don't like earn it, of course. And I'm really trying to like balance that between like what is considered earned, what is considered, you know, deserving, but don't be afraid to ask for money. Like volunteer a little bit here and there, of course. I am definitely a big believer in doing some little pro bono work, you know, especially when it comes to like nonprofits and places that really rely on volunteers. Like shoot, a large part of like the community organizations out here rely on the backs of volunteers in the best way possible. We love volunteers. We love volunteers. We love volunteers. Me volunteering helped me get a job. God bless. We love volunteering. But like, when it comes to your, like, you got to pay your bills. You got to pay your bills, especially those girlies who live in the cities, like New York City, San Diego, Boston, Miami. Like, you got to pay your bills, and you got to think of yourself in the long run. There's only so far you can go by doing just like a majority volunteer work, hoping for opportunities to come from it. I'm a big believer in it, though. Don't get it twisted. I am definitely one who's like, let me help you. Let me help you. I want to help you. And I do want to help people all the time. But again, also, I want to be very intentional when I say, you got to get paid what you got to get paid. Like, the bills are coming. Who's going to pay them? Nobody else but us. So that's out. Being paid less than you deserve is out. It's an out. The next one, it's kind of calling myself out for sure. The next one is wearing PJs when you're working from home. I am a sucker for that. I gotta admit, I'm a sucker for it. I love being comfortable. I really do. But I do notice a pretty significant difference when I'm like, wearing an actual outfit versus something I woke up in, That's the truth. And so that's going to be an out because I'm going for the intention, like that routine, like, just because you're working from home doesn't mean you have to look like it. And I'm talking to myself majority. So if you want to wear pajamas, please continue wearing pajamas. It doesn't matter. Like, you do you, boo. But for me, I want to be better. I just want to be able, I want that getting dressed routine in the daytime. So then, your whole life feels like an event, It's an event. All right. The last one for my outs list is dreaming small. Dreaming small. It's exactly how it sounds. I think one thing is about sometimes you dream as far as you're aware. Like, if you won't know what to dream unless you kind of have some idea of you've seen it in some capacity. And I understand that. And sometimes people get caught up in the reality. I'm like, well, that's like far-fetched. Like, that's so like beyond what reality typically is. The odds of me achieving that is like 0 to none. Like, why should I even try? Like, I think that's one of my biggest things. It's just like, I hate hearing that. I don't want to be like that. I think when I'm even thinking like the future children, like future parent, like becoming a future parent, I want to be able to teach these things to my kids where like they should dream big. It's okay to dream big. If you don't make it, don't worry. But as long as you tried, and tried hard and committed yourself to something. And I don't think I'm going to be able to teach that. And I think I will be, but I think it'll mean something different if I had put it to practice first, And that's why I really care about doing that now as soon as I can. So that when I get to that point, I don't want to feel personally like a hypocrite. I'm like, I want you to go do it. Too, because my parents did a beautiful job of giving me that ability to dream in that way. And I'm so grateful for it. And so I want to do the same things for them and continue that cycle of creating big dreamers because it's just ingrained in their DNA, All right. That's the outs list. Go ahead. I would love for you just even to like sit down, pause the podcast right now, pause it right now and just like sit down, grab a piece of paper, grab your little ballpoint pen and write down like 5 items in your outs list. What are we leaving in 2023? We're not bringing them back. We're done. Okay? All right. Are you back? Did you do it? Okay. All right. I'll give you my ins then. All right. Okay. I'll give it to you. I'll give you my ins. My ins for 2024. I also have to thank my friends for helping me like kind of get into this mindset. We made lists personally on ins and outs And so I kind of like got into this mindset of like the ins and outs list, and I've been thinking about it. And so this is the new list I created for the podcast. But I'll go ahead and get right into it. My ins list. The first one is fun memes in Slacks. Whoa. Fun memes in Slack. My team uses Slack to communicate amongst each other. We're a fully digital team across the nation where everyone's East Coast, everyone's Pacific Coast. Like, we're all over the place. We're Slack girlies, okay? I love the channels that are kind of they're a little random if you think, like, but they're more personal, like personal goals, like fun memes, like what are you listening to, sharing Spotify playlists, like, which is also on my list later on. I kind of like jumped to that one, but fun memes on Slack, because I love the idea of like stimulating a really just fun in a workplace that you like want to be in, you know? It's not like you just go to work and you're like, well, you have to be here. But like, well, creating a workplace like, oh, I want to be here because like people were having fun. Like, I could see people's personalities. We may not be next to each other side by side, but I'm getting a sense of who you are because we have this way of communicating to each other, love the things that we love and we like. So one of my favorite things that at the Stella Foundation we did, we just like shared our music. Like, what do we listen to? Like, oh, I'm listening to this this is my Spotify Wrapped. This was my number one on my Spotify Wrapped. Like, take a little listen, check it out. And I feel like I got to know everybody so much better and so much quicker by being able to do that. And it's not being seen as like a waste of time or just immature or anything. Like, really? Like, don't you want to have a little bit of fun? Like, just have fun. Did you forget to have fun? Did you forget life could be fun? Go throw a meme in your Slack channel. Go do it right now. And if they don't appreciate it, I appreciate it for you. Okay? Next one. Okay. Cherry juice mocktails. Yes, I may have gotten this from TikTok, but I also kind of got it from my cousin because she probably got it from TikTok too. Getting that tart cherry juice, not the like concentrate, not anything like that, like sour tart cherry juice, and you fill up your cup about halfway with some ice, and then you fill the rest of it with like an Olipop, you know, like a probiotic soda, or a club soda, and you just create this little mocktail for yourself. You put your little glass straw into it, you drink it, and it has actually, for me, and I'm not a scientist, I'm just saying I have noticed a difference where it has helped me really calm my mind and get ready for bed. So that's kind of become a ritual for me. I ran out of it last night. I need to go get more. I love a good cherry juice mocktail. Mocktails in general. Mocktails 2024. Next one, shared Spotify playlist. I kind of touched on this already, so I don't think I need to go any further. Like, share your Spotify playlist with your coworkers. Create a shared Spotify playlist with your friends. When you get an update that your friends added to the Spotify playlist, it's almost feel like a little wave. Like your friends gave you a little wave. Like, hey, like thinking of us because this is our little brainchild. Please check out a little shared Spotify playlist. And if you're not on Spotify, I'm not going to judge you because I'm a new Spotify user as of last year. So do you. My fourth in of the year, girly group chats for work. What I mean by that, for those who follow me on LinkedIn and saw my LinkedIn post, you want to come say hi? Girly group, that was my cousin Morgan. Girly group chats for work is an in for the year. The reason for that, I think, so I've been meeting with these two lovely ladies. Shout out to Opal and Shivy. Shivy's actually going to be on the podcast next week. So you kind of get to know her more. But I love being able to get together with the girls and just kind of like catching up, like what's going on with your life, like what is your struggles, like how can I help? Oh, what's a win? Let me cheer you on. Like, let me do something for, like a little checkpoint where you kind of like, you just know you got people in your corner, and it's kind of nice to like have And people like you may not see every day, like you may not see them every day, but you kind of know that like we just kind of like support each other, and it's like it's genuine. Creating little girly group chats with your coworkers and making it a positive environment. It's not like an environment where you go and you straight up just like you just shit talk your other coworkers, That's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to create friendship, sisterhood, brotherhood. If you're a man and you're listening to this, we welcome all. Girly group chats at work. Not at work during hours, but like for work. Okay. You know what I'm talking about. Okay. Next one. And this one's going to be kind of controversial to some of the clean girl aesthetic. But I'm a big fan of maximalism. As you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, my background is everywhere. Yes, I know. I'm not a designer. I'm just like doing my thing. If I like it, I buy it. I put it on my wall. I am a big fan of just interesting things. Like if it has a story to it, I love it. And so I am repping maximalism in 2024. Filling your space with things that you just like love, well, not like little like tchotchkes, not becoming like a hoarder in a way, because I'm definitely the type that I'm like, oh, I might need that later. I don't want to delete it yet, or like I don't want to throw it away yet. I'm thinking of things that like have stories, have meaning to it, and makes you happy. And every time you look and turn around a corner, you're like, oh my gosh, remember that time that we did that, or I bought that. And then when people come over, I'm a big person about having or entertaining people and having fun dinner parties or presentation night at the house. They come over and are like, oh, what is this? And then there's a story and there's points of connection, and you can't do that with like a empty room. You can't do that with an empty room. I'm sorry. Okay. But maximalism is in for me in 2024. And then last but definitely not least is saying what you actually mean. Say what you actually mean. Not being like dancing around the subject or saying 500 words for something that could have been said in 10. Like dancing around like you don't want to hurt people's feelings. Well, yes, we don't want to hurt people's feelings. We don't want to hurt people. But finding ways to communicate what we actually feel like, actually, in a very kind way. Even at work. Like no more just like passive aggressive professional jargon. Like it's just straight to the point. Not everything's going to be sunshine and rainbows, but that's okay because that's life, Let's just be transparent. Let's just say what's on our mind. I think we're going to get everything faster. This is regarding relationships too. Relationships is just like, just say what's on your mind. Say your intentions. Like you show up to a first date, you get right into the nitty gritty. Like screw the small talk. Like I personally am not a huge fan of small talk. I want to know like what's going on in your life, Just jump right into it. And so that's what I'm all excited. All of these things really do make me excited for 2024. Something I found interesting is like some people practice like that new feeling in a new year in the middle of the year. So it's kind of off cycle for everybody else, which I find like really honestly admirable, because sometimes you do kind of like get uplifted with the energy of new beginnings in the new year. So Shivy was one of the people who kind of mentioned that to me, and I was just like, I think that's also a great choice for people if they don't really believe in the whole resolutions thing, whatever. Leave those people alone. Let them do their thing. Everybody has their process, but that's another option. Another option if you want to do that. So, anyways, that is that. There is so many fun things coming. There's new segments that I'm going to be implementing with guests. As you know, next week we'll be having Shivy Singh on the podcast. She is incredible. She is amazing. She's for the girl. She's awesome. And she's a founder, and she's founding a company that's going to help people, so many people in their lives. And I'm here to support her, and I hope you guys do too. But follow. Don't forget to follow. Don't forget to rate this podcast. Follow here. Subscribe. Turn on your notifications. Go on, all the things. Follow on YouTube. I do post video podcasts of all these. And the more support you give to me, the more support I can give back and more stories I can share with you. So it's of course so appreciated. And there's a huge surprise that I'm going to be launching in the next month that it's going to be a little gift to all of you. And so stay tuned. Stay tuned. I post weekly now on Sundays. And you can be notified about that on Instagram, LinkedIn, all of those platforms. So don't forget to follow. But thank you so much. This is Riley Jennings. This is Baddies Mean Business. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you all next week.